Hello guys, it's PJ again. Today I'm working on a 2007 Ford Fiesta. We're going to be fitting a dashboard camera into this, or a dash cam for short, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of hints and tips and also how to wire it to the vehicle's fuse box so that the camera goes on and off with the car's ignition system. We're also going to be hiding all the cabling so you're not going to see anything unsightly. We tried to go for that factory finished look as if it was sort of meant to be there. So useful tools to actually get the job done. This is the kit I normally want or use depending on what camera. Now I've fitted a neck space camera, so we have a neck space fitting kit here. I'll show you what's in that shortly, very handy. Electrical tape, some long nose pliers because the fuse box is in a bit of a recessed area on the Fiesta, so I use these to just pull the fuse out. Some snips, the most important tool of all probably a plastic leverage tool. Now these are used for levering plastic trim on cars. Obviously if you use a screwdriver or something, you're going to put a nasty dint into the plastic. It's going to look terrible, so you don't want to damage the car. Get yourself a set of these. They're normally about £1 off Amazon or whatever, and well useful. Obviously any plastic leverage device will do the same job, so if you've got something lying around that you think will work, great. Couple of cable ties, show you what they're for later, and either a multimeter or one of those little screwdrivers that's got a bulb in the end so it lights up like a test probe. You want to be able to test, you know, a fuse that's on and off with the ignition system, an accessory position fuse. So before we go any further, I just need to point out that by following this video guide I am held no way liable or responsible for any injury to yourself or damage to your vehicle by following this video guide. And on with the guide. Let's have a look what's in the installation kit. This is your typical installation kit that you're going to buy. The neck space cameras have a mini USB, so we've got a mini USB power connector there for it. Some are micro, some are round, depends on the brand of camera you go. Always try and get a fitting kit that matches the brand of the camera. Okay. Basically it terminates in an earth connection which goes to a chassis earth on the vehicle. I'll show you where to put that shortly. And a 12-volt ignition switch power supply, like so. You get two fuse spurs. Now, depending on the vehicle, older vehicles and commercial vehicles generally tend to use the big fuses. So do some Mercedes still, depends sort of what year. We won't be using that on the Fiesta, so we can get rid of that one. This is a mini blade fuse spur, which is the one we will be using on the Fiesta. And basically all it does is double up a fuse socket. So we'll end up removing one fuse from the fuse box, shoving it in the gap here, shoving this thing in, and basically you'll have the 2 or the 3 amp fuse here to run the camera, and the original fuse that runs the original vehicle circuit here. And obviously you have the sprag of wire coming off to connect to your power. So they're very, very useful. If you haven't got these in your fitting kit, or you just want this particular part and nothing else, again you can get these off Amazon or even eBay. These are really cheap, they're like £2 for a pack of them or something. Just remember your 2 or 3 amp fuse on the outer one there to run your camera. Some of them don't come with fuses, and bear in mind there are 3-4 different sizes you can get these in. There's micro blade, there's mini blade, there's the full size one I was showing you there. For the Fiesta, mini blade looks like that. Okay, nice and simple. You also get one of these. This is a ferrous filter. I always say that word wrong. Check my other videos, I've got it wrong in nearly every video. Right, what this does is wrap round the power cable, okay, and basically if you've got a DAB radio, it will try and help with radio interference because the cameras do emit interference and can cause DAB radio to completely cut off. Now this year Ford Fiesta isn't fitted with DAB as standard, so unless you fitted an aftermarket one, you should be fine. It won't affect FM, won't affect AM, it's for DAB only, and it's generally only newer cars that are fitted with DAB radios, but this needs fitting to the power cable. So that's the next thing we're going to move on to, prepping your power cable. Your ferrite filter clicks open, it's on little hinges, little catchers, look. You can see there quite easily, it just locks over. I can get the camera in focus, there we go. It's on a hinge system, you open it up, put your power cable through it, and then how can I put it? You wrap it round the outside of it and back through it again. So it looks like this. Nice and simple. Round it, through it, back out again. Click it all shut. Next thing we're going to do is, because the Fiesta roof lining is made of like a fibre cardboard substance, the cable can slip from down below the roof lining. Obviously while you're driving along you don't want the cable dangling down in front of the window screen, so we're just going to bulk it up. If you measure it across the top of the window screen roughly, what you can do is get your cable ties, you guessed it, wrap them around the cable, snip them off, like so. So we've measured our cable out. So first one, and then another one at the other side, just stop it dropping. I've snipped it off, and I normally cover them in electrical tape, because, well, when you snip a cable tie, it can be sharp on the edge where you've cut it, and obviously over time, hitting other potholes and stuff, it could rub the inside of the headline and make a mess of it. So this is just to pad the cable out a bit, just to help it stay in place and not do any damage to the vehicle. Snip both off, cover them both in tape, and we'll move on to actually putting the power cable up and routing it down to the fuse box. Right, so this is the roof lining of the vehicle, interior mirror just here. This grade surface here on the Fiesta is bobbly, so if you're using a suction mount, like a sucker, to put your camera up, you can't stick it on this, it'll fall off. If you're using one that comes with a 3M sticky pad mount, you're fine. The camera I'm fitting only has suction pad, so we're going to put it here, and it's going to stick on the actual glass, not on the black. The cable itself tucks up. Now, don't go at this like a bull in a china shop, take your time, because obviously this is quite fragile. Normally on a Fiesta the fit is not too great, so you can only get your fingers behind it and sort of pop your cable up, right up. Yes, it makes some really horrible noises as if something's going to rip, but it isn't. There we go. So it just sits nicely, and you've just got a little U shape. We'll tidy that up so it literally comes across and down. Run it all the way along. We've already put the second one in here until you get to this corner. Just back off a bit there, you get to here. Next up, we're going to open the door and pull off this rubber weather seal just here. So we do that. Sorry about the background noise, guys. I don't get to choose the location of these videos, unfortunately. We're right near a quite major road. So if we pull this off, there we go, all the way down, and then you'll see you can actually flex that out. Now, we're quite lucky on this year Fiesta, this particular one anyway. It depends obviously where it's built, where it's been sold, etc. It doesn't have any airbags behind here on this particular one, so we're laughing. If you have got an airbag behind here, put your fingers behind it, just pull it forward carefully and tuck the cable behind the airbag and then down. This particular one, we're just going to tuck it down the top here. So basically it's going to go in using your plastic leverage tool if need be. So it'll end up sort of here, tucked down, and then down the edge. Don't worry if your plastic trim pops off, it's on a little popper, it'll soon click back in again, that's not a problem. There you go, you can click that back. And like I say, all the way down, 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 until you get to here. Now we're going to pop off this and the panel behind it to get to a decent earthing location. First things first, we're going to open the glove box because, yep, your fuse box is right behind it. So you can open your glove box and empty 3 tons of crap out of it, because let's face it, everybody's glove box is full of crap. So once you've emptied your glove box, we're going to take out this Phillips screw just here. So we need a crosshead screwdriver for that. When you've took your screw out, you just generally leave it behind it. Oops, that one was very, very loose, as you can see. And that panel comes away from the little clips here, sort of slides on. And the next thing we're going to do is take this Phillips screw out here. Having removed the Phillips screw, we carefully remove the plastic, not like the first piece that fell on the floor. There we go. Gives you access to a couple of 10mm bolts. You can use either of these for your earthing location. You can remove them without any fear of the dashboard moving. Nothing will move, nothing will happen. So I'm going to pick probably the top one actually for this particular car. We'll go here, take this one out, pop the earth behind it. There's the bolt removed. And as you can see, I've put a ring terminal on the end of the black earth wire that comes from the fitting kit, and then a washer behind it. Now, you don't have to do this, it's just that I've been doing this, well, absolutely donkey's years, and I like to have a decent, secure fit on all cable connections. So, hence, I always chop off the little connector and do this. You don't have to, like I say, as long as it contacts the metal, you're fine. So, tighten that up. And there's your earth connection back in. We're then going to feed the red power cable through the gap here and into the glove box area. Now, to aid doing this, your glove box, it tells you how to do this in your manual to get to the fuse box. You pull it in, there's like lugs at each side, so you squeeze the edges in. You need both hands. Well, not on this car, it's, well, shall we say it's been out quite heavily handedly in the past. Do take a bit of care, because otherwise it's going to be quite weak like that one is. Somebody's had a go at that. And there's your fuse box. So we're going to come through here. There you go, look, just there. nice and easy. Pop your power cable through there. And we'll just quickly show you, on this particular car, it's still got its fuse location guide stuck to the back of the glove box. Hang on, let me get the camera the right way. There we go. Try and get you in focus now, guys. Nice and handy to have. Some countries don't have this label stuck on the back of the fuse box, so maybe the layout's the same. We're going to be using some sort of accessory fuse, nothing critical, nothing to do with ABS, engine management, that type of thing. So, once you've sort of figured out what sort of fuse you're going to use, I'm going to be using F49, which is a 30 amp fuse for the fan, but you obviously can use any accessory fuse you want that's ignition switched. And obviously fuse box layouts do differ between countries of sale, spec of the car, etc. So if we touch the probe on the end of the shiny bit on the fuse, 0 voltage, ignition off. When we turn the ignition on, that fuse goes live. We've already tested that, and to be honest, I've done a lot of Fiestas, so I know that that's a good one to use on this sort of year. Like I say, though, do test your fuses, because it will depend on, you know, the country, the spec, etc. So we're going to pop that fuse out. We're going to pull that one out right now with the ignition off. Yeah, you must have your ignition off key out. Fuse out. Get your fuse spur. Pop this fuse in the slot next to this one. So it looks like that. And then obviously pop this back in and get a decent angle. Like so. That is your power finished. Okay, we can now test the camera before we reassemble the glove box and trim. So, camera mounted on window screen, let's pop the ignition on, and there we go. Power light just there, look, coming on. Let me focus better. And off again, and there we go, off. You can now go ahead and basically put all your trim back together. When you put your side cover on here, bear in mind there's a little hook, so it sort of hooks up, in, and then screw into the side. Likewise, when you're putting your front panel back on, there's tabs there, locating tabs, that you have to basically slide it in place. You're going to need 2 hands to do this, so holding a camera never works out very well. And you've got your side panel back on. Obviously don't forget the screw, the mounting screw that sits in there. Glove box, sort of shove it in on the corner and click it in for those to go in, so give it a good shove, and then quite literally you've got to bend the tabs back in again, which you're going to need both hands for, to shove it back up. And there we go, finally fill your glove box back up with all the crap you took out of it, and that's it, you've fitted your own dash cam. Guys, thank you very much for watching this guide. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer you as quick as I can, but bear in mind I get inundated with questions every single day about all sorts of different car related problems and all different models, so just bear with me. Thanks again, and goodbye for now.